It's me, Dashima. Welcome to the Universal Energy Updates for the week of June 7th through 14th. If you watched my video from last week, you probably heard me talking about all of the eclipses and the planets in retrograde and everything that's happening on the planet. The intention of this video is to bring some peace and harmony into your heart and soul as everybody on the planet is experiencing a lot of energetic shifts right now, and we can turn to the stars, we can turn to astrology and numerology and different sciences to help us to understand what's really going on a universal level, and then how we can work with this energy instead of being resistance to it, and how we can actually make it work for us instead of against us. So just to recap from last week, basically we had the first eclipse of 3, so that was on June 5th, and maybe you felt it. I don't know if you had anything big happen in your life around that time, but it was in the Gemini-Sagittarius axis, so you might have felt something in the area of communication. And if you had any communication breakdowns that also were like in regards to a relationship dynamic, there were basically one of two things that might have happened. Either you ended a relationship over it because it just felt like there was complete no alignment, and you just have to let go and move on, and that's sometimes what happens. But the more evolved option that we have available to us is to actually sit down and communicate from the heart in a more enlightened way, so that we can get to the core of the disconnect, and so that we can come to a place of, at least mutual understanding, kindness and compassion, forgiveness and love. And that's really what these eclipses are. Like, the best possible scenario is for that to happen. But if that didn't happen for you, there's still time, and we do have 2 more eclipses coming up. So this energy update is talking about the next 2 eclipses, and I want to touch upon the riots and the huge movement that sprang up since my last video. It was really, the whole thing about Black Lives Matter, George Floyd, Breonna, and all of the really deep, dark aspects of humanity that have been, kind of not talked about very much for many hundreds, if not thousands of years, but they're all coming up to be healed. And if you look at the media, there's 2 ways you can interpret it. It can feel really heavy, it can feel sad or depressing, it starts to bring up a lot of deep emotions, whether they're personal to yourself, like maybe you yourself have experienced racism either towards you or in your family or anything, or it can be the opposite of that. Like you can just look at this and see it from a universal perspective, that all of this is coming up right now on planet Earth, including the pandemic, including the quarantine, including the riots, and everything that's coming up right now on Earth, the global collapse of the economy, like I talked about as well, and many, many things. But this was all planned. The way I see it, the universe has a divine plan, and one of the universal laws of life is that everything is always in divine and perfect order, even if it feels dark, even if it feels painful, even if there's death and destruction and fires and things are burning and there's collapse and we feel like everything's falling apart. There's an old saying that says sometimes when it feels like everything's falling apart, it's actually possible that everything's coming together. And from a universal perspective, that's exactly what's happening. So, as I mentioned in my last video, things are going to get actually a little bit worse before they get better, but we've already seen major strides. If you were watching the media the last week to 2 weeks, I have been just blown away by the amount of love and support and authenticity and sincerity and depth of communication around the topic of racism that is way long overdue for humanity to bring up, and for people to see the truth of what's been happening from the beginning of as long as we can remember, and for the truth to be exposed in the greatest possible way so that we can heal it, we can reconcile, and so that we can really move towards a humanity that honors each other's souls instead of seeing the separation of our skin color. Because that's a very old paradigm, and it's time for us to evolve beyond that. And that's why this is all coming up. So that Pluto-Saturn conjunction in January really kicked this off. And like I talked about that in my last video, you know, it was basically, we had the impeachment of Trump at that same time. We had a lot of things. We had the fires in the Amazon and in Australia, and this huge locust infestation in Africa. And we had like this massive natural disasters happening, and that was in the beginning of the year. And then all of a sudden the pandemic hit, and then that spread globally. So this is, you know, it could look like the end times. It can literally, if you've ever, you know, read the Bible or something, they have this part of the Bible, you know, they call it the end times, or like the book of Revelation, or the end of the world. But it's really the end of the world as it was. It's the end of the world as we knew it. And hallelujah to that. The old ways were not working. The old ways were keeping people repressed. It was keeping people down. There was a huge disparity. There was a lot of separation and corruption going on, and also selfishness, as we haven't been taking care of the planet. So there's so many old paradigms that are crumbling now that are creating space for the new earth to be born. And that's what it's being called, the new earth, actually, is people are starting to awaken to realize that a whole new reality is being born right now on planet Earth. And this reality is centered around love and compassion and soul connection, and seeing beyond the physical, seeing beyond the material world into another person's soul, being able to connect on that level, and to see the oneness of existence, and to really recognize our place in this world and our true purpose for being here together at this time. So I work with a lot of different people, and I help people actually to find, you know, their life purpose. And one of the things at this time is so powerful for people right now on Earth is to not only awaken, to see the darkness, to heal the traumas, to heal the shadows, to heal whatever's coming up, the lower vibrations that are within each individual and on the collective in humanity, but also to awaken to a higher purpose of being here. So it's not just we're here, you know, to consume products, to buy things, to be sold from the media on what we need to do to be more beautiful according to some media standard that's completely unrealistic and unattainable. That's an old paradigm, and that is also shutting down. The new paradigm is, how can I serve? The new paradigm is, what is my purpose, and how can I be of benefit to this planet? How can I show up in the best possible way and help my brothers and sisters? How can I elevate the voices of others, and how can I serve? So this is a question I invite for you to ask yourself, and for all beings right now on Earth to be asking, like, what can I do to contribute to make this world a better place? In what way can my life, my tiny little speck of a ray of light in this vast ocean of humans, almost 8 billion people on Earth, in what way can I contribute to make the world a better place? How can I shine a brighter light into the darkness? And is there something unique within myself? So these are the questions I invite you to ask. Is there something unique within myself that I can offer the world that nobody else can? And my own unique journey that I've experienced, my own suffering that I've been through, how can I utilize that experience, that wisdom that I've gained from my life here, my time here in this planet, the resources that I have available to me, the voice that I have, the platform that you have? How can you utilize this to be of greater service in this important, pivotal, transitionary time for humanity as we awaken and evolve as a species together towards a more enlightened, a more unified, beautiful life that we're heading towards? So that's the future. That's what I've always been seeing. It's like, some people say it's a utopian vision, but I love the utopian vision, you know, like we want to hold the vision that we can see heaven on earth eventually. It might not happen in this lifetime, but it will happen for our children. And that's worth investing into. That's worth fighting for. And that's worth, working for right now, is so that the work that we're doing right now, the actions that you take right now, are setting the stage for the future generations to have a beautiful place to live, a safe place, a place that feels that they have opportunities, a place that feels that there's more than enough for everybody, a place that feels that when we look at each other, we see each other's souls. I look into your eyes, I see your soul. That's what we're creating for the future generations. And the seeds are being planted right now, and we have the opportunity right now. We have the opportunity right now to do even a little action. Maybe it's, helping your local community, or just talking to your family members about racism and being anti-racist and literally standing up for your brothers and sisters of all colors, and the Black community especially right now, and literally taking a stand for someone other than yourself, or also like standing in your power and shining your light. If you have things to contribute, right now is the time to share your gifts, share your light, and be a light in this world, because there's so much darkness. The world needs your voice, the world needs your light, and the world needs your love right now more than ever. So just to continue on the energy update, basically we have 2 more eclipses coming up. So we have one on the 21st of June. So this one's going to be on the Cancer Capricorn axis. So this is the final one in a series of literally almost 3 years of eclipses that have been in Cancer Capricorn. So if you're a Cancer Capricorn, you're going to feel these next 2 eclipses probably more than other people. But everybody will feel this because a lot of people have the Cancer Capricorn somewhere in your chart, even if it's not your sun. Like mine is the sun and the ascendant, but it could be, it could be your moon, it could be any kind of thing. If you don't know your chart, feel free to reach out to me, and I'm actually going to do a workshop to teach people how to read your own chart so that you can understand yourself better, and so you can know your chart. But basically, the one on the 21st, it's also coinciding with a few other big things. So we also have the summer solstice, which is the longest day of light of the whole year. And I feel that this is actually going to be a massive turning point of light, bringing more light into the world. And Cancer is the energy of home and family and nurturing and self-love. So this is a big wake-up call around that energy. If that's an area of your life that's not stable or that needs some healing, it's going to be a little bit more obvious coming up on the 21st. And then also the Capricorn, which is the opposite axis of that. That's the business and the structure and the order and kind of that masculine energy. And a lot of that is going to be illuminated as you take the shift, and you shift from the masculine energy into that more yin energy, that feminine energy, and more into the self-love, self-care, which is something that everybody needs right now, and you probably need more than ever. So this is your time to really focus on your self-love, your self-care, your home, your family, your community, and really, hunker down on that energy and make it your focus, make it your priority. And then we'll be moving from June 21st, and I'll talk about this in my next video, but after that it will go into July 5th, and that'll be the third eclipse in this series. And on the July 5th eclipse, that's also Cancer Capricorn. It's exactly on Capricorn 13, so that's my ascendant, and we're going to see a lot of shifting happening in the business and the financial structure of the way things have been working. And I hope more than anything that maybe like this global quarantine will lift and people will be able to go back to work, and that we'll be able to do our businesses more soon. So that might be one of the results, but it's hard to predict what's actually going to be the result for each individual. Everybody experiences this differently, but you will experience some major shifts. Any shadows or any darkness that needs healing, any traumas, any past life ancestral wounds even that have been passed down, you will feel something coming up around these next 2 eclipses. So just be prepared, and I'm going to give you more information in the next energy updates. Be sure and click like and leave a comment if you like these energy updates, and feel free to leave a comment if you have any questions or comments that you want to share. I'm happy to respond about this. We also have Mercury retrograde coming up on June 12th, and that's every year we have Mercury retrograde. It's 3 weeks, and then it's actually the week before and the week after. So it's kind of like a 5-week window. And a lot of people get freaked out about Mercury retrograde, but it's not a huge negative thing. You just have to be prepared, because if anything's going to go wrong with communication or technology, it would happen during this time. So you just want to back up your computer, back up your phone, don't sign any contracts during this time period. Take extra time to contemplate and to review things and to make sure that you're coming from the most informed place. And just tell people, I'm going to sign, after the window, so it's basically the 12th of June, and then it goes 3 weeks. So it's after, I think it's the 8th, or it's 3 weeks, so it's somewhere around the first week of July is when Mercury retrograde ends, and then it's another week they call the shadow period. So sometimes things are a little bit chaotic still, but overall it's a time to review, to look back on how things have been unfolding, and to see if the way that you're communicating or the way that you're showing up, could be through social media, it could be through your message, your mission, or how you're even communicating with the people in your life, your loved ones, your family, your coworkers, and even how you're talking to yourself is a part of this. So how are these energies, are they working for you? Are they in harmony? But if there's any disharmony, that will be revealed, and it will come up, and you will have an opportunity, we will all have the opportunity to heal whatever's coming up. But I highly encourage, in order to have the most harmonious transition over these next couple of weeks, especially, even though I'm going to do another update next week, but basically just to prepare, for Mercury retrograde, back up your computer, back up your phone. If you need a new computer or phone, get one before the 12th if you can, or you might get one during the period. But basically it's a time to really get all your ducks in order for the technology side of the message that you're here to share, and your communication, not only to others but also to yourself, like how you talk to yourself. Really look at that, and is it serving you? Is it uplifting you? What is your routine like? Do you wake up in the morning and go right on the phone, start checking social media or emails, or do you give yourself the love and respect and time and space in the morning to cultivate a beautiful garden inside of your mind and your consciousness of purity and love and high vibration and focus and intention on how you're going to contribute to the world and to make your dreams come true? Because that first hour of the day really sets the tone for the rest of the day. And so anyway, this is all coming up over the next couple of weeks, and hope you're ready for it. Feel free to leave a comment. Let me know what you're going through. I'm here to support you, and we have a lot of resources available through my school that I have, Pranashama Institute. We're kind of the leading institute in the world for shamanic yoga, and we teach meditation and breath work and healing practices from ancient wisdom of shamanism, ancient lineages of yoga, Eastern philosophies, as well as modern technology, biohacking, NLP, and hypnosis, and all sorts of ways to reprogram the consciousness and to eliminate and kind of release all the programs that are not serving you, and all of the old kind of paradigms and the belief systems that are limiting your possibility for expansion, and then reprogram and rewire the neural synapses so you can create the life of your dreams based on whatever it is that you envision, whatever would bring you the greatest joy and the greatest fulfillment, and so that you can be the greatest contribution in this world. So that's what we're all about. If you're interested in learning more, we have online teacher training certification programs, online courses, and many programs, so feel free to visit the website pranashama.com. And I love you so much. Just wanted to share this update because I feel that the energy of the universe right now is very intense, and we can navigate that together with just plugging into the community, get the support you need, and stay connected to your soul, and stay connected to love, and everything will be okay. We will make it through this. I love you so much. Have a beautiful, blessed day. Namaste. Till next week. See you soon.